What's up? This is High Struggling. I'm Dad. My name's Grant. I wanted to chat to you today about something that kind of came up today. It's come up before in the past, but it sort of took shape today, and I wanted to share it because I think this applies to people of all ages and I guess times of life and parents and kids as well. So today I went out into the kitchen, into the lounge room, and my oldest son was doing a little bit of learning, and I could see that he was getting a little bit discouraged on a couple of things. Probably one thing mainly, and he was getting a little bit discouraged. It hadn't quite sunk in quite yet, but you can kind of tell when they're getting a little bit down on themselves. And I asked him what was going on. He said it was really hard. It was really hard. And I said, "Yeah, that's normal. That's normal, man. This is really new as well. It's really new. It's a bit trickier at the start, but guess what? It gets so much easier." And he was kind of like, "Oh, really? Okay, that's good." He was easily encouraged by that a little bit quickly, which is good. And I know that's not always the case. Even with my other kids, it's not always the case. But as I explained it to him, as soon as I said that, it kind of it triggered something in me. And I remembered this saying that when I first heard it years ago, I really liked it because it encouraged me. And I just said to him, "Remember, all things are hard before they're easy." And I gave the example of walking was hard for him as a kid. For every kid, obviously. So I wanted to remind him, like, hey, yeah, this was hard too. But guess what happens if you said, "This is too hard, I'm not going to learn"? What would you be doing? He said, "Crawling." And I said, "Yeah, exactly. You'd just be crawling around this place. You'd be just a gigantic crawling dude getting around." And he was like, "Oh, yeah." He kind of figured that out. That kind of was an easy thing for him to understand, which was great. I was really happy about that he got that straight off the bat. And I said to him, that's like anything, man. That's like anything in life, whether you're a kid or whether you're an adult, when you're learning something new, it's trickier at the start. When you're starting out and the skill is very, very new, usually we kind of suck at it. We're pretty bad. And I told him, I've told him in the past about, I used to play basketball and I was really bad to start with. And then I practiced and I got better. And the same thing with vocals. He's heard me do my vocals for projects and stuff like that, doing metal bands and everything. And he's heard my voice, and he's sometimes the kids have a crack as well, which is pretty funny and also mildly terrifying because I don't want them to blow out their voices because they're so young. But I said to him, it's just a practice thing, man. You kind of figure it out, you'll learn, you'll figure out what works, what doesn't, what works best for you, and then you're able to grow it and get better at it. And but the example that I gave him today was actually to do with this podcast and these new business things that I'm trying, because he knows that I was working on this morning, and I was saying to him, actually, I'm having a bit of a tougher time with this as well right now, because this is super new to me and I'm not sure what I'm doing, if it's fully right or very wrong or a little bit of both. I'm not too sure because this is all very new. And I know there's ways that I can get better, and I know there's some things that I'm doing okay, and heaps of room to grow. And the reason why I jumped on here today was because this is exactly how I was feeling when I walked in and saw my son doing his learning, and he was feeling the same way. I was feeling a similar way, a little bit discouraged, just comparing or looking at down the line of where I want to be and going almost annoyed that I'm not there yet, because that's super unrealistic. But it's that sort of thing, kind of wishing that I was already better, but I haven't really put in the reps to be awesome yet. So these are reps. These are things that some of it might be great and some of it will help people. And ultimately, I just wanted to help someone. And that's the core of it. But ideally, I would love to be great at it. But that's going to take some time. So I've got to remember as well that all things are hard before they're easy. And this is the particularly hard spot. This is all new muscles that I'm working in this. This is me growing something that I've never grown before. I've never done a podcast before. I've never done a lot of public speaking stuff before. I'm way more used to a one-on-one situation or more social situations. And this is new. and tricky. And I was pretty bummed about that this morning. Not super bummed, but like medium bummed, because I'm aware of both sides. I'm aware that it would be really weird if I was great straight away. And that's another way that I put it to the kids when they're a bit down about not being great at something very quickly on or very soon on to something. I would say, wouldn't it actually be weirder if you were awesome immediately at it? That would actually be stranger than you not being good at it, because not being good when you first start at something is the norm. You normally aren't great before you practice. You're normally not a great singer the first time you open your mouth. You're normally not a great sprinter before you walk or run. You're normally not that great at cooking until you practice cooking and learning what ingredients go together. So it's just something that if you're immediately awesome, you're a one of one sort of thing. You're that's unusual. So, and that's fine to be unusual, but that's rare. So please keep that in mind. So I've talked to the kids about that, and I have to teach myself and reteach myself the same lessons, because my mind will go back to that. My mind will go back to what I would like it to be. What it would be great if it was easier. That would be great. But I've got to grow these strengths in order to get good. So that's what I've got to remind myself to do as well. Just as I was reminding my son today, I'm reminding myself here today that all things are hard before they're easy. So I wanted to jump on today to tell you that as well, and to remind you, because maybe you need reminding in your life too. Maybe there's something that applies in your life where you need to keep that focus as well. That, hey, let's not be unrealistic in our standards right now. Let's be fair, because ultimately we don't want to shy away from ownership or anything like that. We need to own and take accountability for everything that's ours, the good and the bad. So that might mean that we're not doing our best right now. And to be honest with that. But it also might mean, hey, I am doing my best. I'm not quite there yet, but hey, I'm doing my best. That's all I can do right now. I'm growing in this, and my best will get better. My best will get better because I'll become more knowledgeable, more skilled, or whatever in my pursuit, whether it's writing or anything. So for you, where does that apply in your life? Is there somewhere in your life that maybe you're beating yourself up about something, but you've actually got this unrealistic standard that a unicorn might have, the absolute unicorn of a person may get, the rarest of the rare, they might get it first go. But for you, it's taking thousands of reps or hundreds of reps or whatever it may be. That's normal. Everything is hard before it's easy, and you will become more skilled at whatever you do the more you do it. So just keep going. Another question that I was considering for me, but maybe this applies to you and something that you've got going on, is do you need to stick longer with something before giving it up? Do you need to stick longer with something even if you're not seeing the results that you want right now? So you might have started a business, for example, a few months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, and it's something that's really valuable to you, really worthwhile. You believe in it a lot. It hasn't really taken off how you want it to. Is that something that you need to keep sticking with, even though everything else is kind of telling you not to do it? But you're getting the reps and you're getting better, you're growing, and it's kind of, you've been pushing it uphill, right? You're pushing it uphill. There's no momentum. And then one day you break even a little bit and you go on the kind of smooth plane, and then eventually it's downhill. And then you've got the momentum, you've got the skills, you've got the traction, you've got the connections, you've got everything to help you so much more than the initial phases. Because again, everything's hard at the start. Everything's hard before it's easy, and it gets easier. So probably shouldn't put my hand in front of the camera like that. But anyway, there it is again. So that's another thing. Do you need to stick with something? And maybe you're not seeing the results right now, but the results will come. And either way, if you're working on something that means something to you, that carries weight and value for you, I think if it carries weight and value, that's something worth sticking with. It is, because it's going to help you and it's going to help others, whether it's now or down the track. And even if it helps one person, that's one more than would have been helped otherwise. That's great. That's awesome. And that's something that I need to remember for myself, and maybe it helps you too. I know recently, Alex Hormozy talks about it in a business sense of if you can delay gratification of seeing those instant sort of results and that instant kind of hey, everything's doing really well, this is really working, if you can delay that for as long as possible and work on it and just do the reps and put things out there, it's very hard to fail if you just keep going. And that's actually, again, just to sidetrack myself, that's actually another thing that I find with millionaires and billionaires, particularly extremely wealthy, is that they talk about if you never quit, you never lose. You never lose if you never quit. And I think it's part of that thing is going, well, it was all hard. It wasn't easy, but eventually I broke through. It's kind of like that. I'm sure you've seen that random cartoon that they're digging for diamonds, and this one guy stops. He goes all the way, and then he stops like a fraction before he hits it. That sort of thing. So, and I know that there's different things to this. I know that there's limitations. I know that there's times where you've got to do something else to provide or do something else for your family. But if you can, with these sorts of things, with these sorts of projects, if you can still work on them in some capacity and continue to go, as long as you're taking care of the most important people and things in your life, then great. That's awesome. Do that. That kicks ass. That would be great. So if that applies to you, keep that in mind this week, is that all things are hard before they're easy. Zooming out, going, yeah, I'm putting in the reps. I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I can, and I'm just going to keep going, even though right now it's uncomfortable and it's hard. It's difficult. And I was thinking about for myself with this podcast, this is a bit uncomfortable for me. This is a bit difficult for me. Not crazy, but a little bit difficult and a little bit uncomfortable for sure. It's all new. And I know for me, in these sorts of conversations and these sorts of episodes, I'm way more serious than I normally am in my day-to-day life. I'd love to do other stuff, other funny stuff, but right here, because I'm trying to help you and people, I can be funny about things, but mostly I've got to get the message out there. So if funny happens, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay as well. But for me, it is a little bit different to have purely serious conversations, because when I'm chucking these episodes out there, and particularly the clips, this is just to be transparent, particularly the clips, I'm noticing, I'm like, man, I seem really serious. I seem quite serious. But it's because it's a serious topic, and I'm literally highlighting these bits that might help people, but they all sound kind of serious. So this is tough. I think this is, for me, something that I've got to get used to, is that, hey, if someone clips it up, which is me, I'm clipping it up, and puts it out there, you may seem different because you're just highlighting one aspect of things. And that's normal. And I'll get better at that. But all things are difficult before they're easy. So this is where I'm at too. So it encouraged my son today, and I'm really happy with that. And it's encouraging me too. And maybe you're listening to this because it's something that you could apply as well. And it's something that could really help you in your life. So I really hope it does. And if you know someone else in your life that could be encouraged by this sort of message, that could be encouraged by hearing, hey, it's all right. All things are hard before they're easy. If you think they need that encouragement, please send this to them. And if you want more of this, if you want to hear the other episodes, please check out Spotify and anywhere else that you can find it. I've got it on most places. I need to put them on the others though as well. Also, please check out my Instagram, Grant Berardi. The other Instagram is _struggling I'm dad _ in there. And my YouTube, which is just my name as well, Grant Berardi. I think there's some names, like numbers chucked after it as well. So have a look. It's YouTube and everything like that. I've got a Twitter, but I'm not really doing anything at the moment. So I'll get there with these things, and I'll get better at it, because right now it is weird to wrap my head around. So thanks for listening. This is Struggling I'm Dad. And yeah, all the best. Hope you're doing really well with all the stuff that is hard today. All right, bye.